Sorry, that took me a few minutes. There's a few different settings on StreamYard, which you can probably see up here. Um, so I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking at. There I was like, oh. So I apologize. Also, I was trying to find something on my tablet so that I could talk to you guys about the article that I wrote. So let's get everything underway, shall we? Welcome to First Friday Lunch. My name is Tina Holland, and I join you every first Friday of the month at 11:30 Central Standard Time to talk to you a little bit about writing, to talk to you about what books I've got coming out, and just things that are generally going on in the writing world. So, these are now sponsored by Writers and Garden, and I had an article that came out with them on, I think the newsletter went out on the second rather than the first, but it normally goes out the first of every month. And I will go ahead and put a link in the notes below if you are interested in receiving the Writers and Garden newsletter. Anyway, so the theme for Writers and Garden was Halloween. Why are you beeping at me? People are beeping at me. Things are beeping at me. I apologize for the beeping. So sorry. Anyway, so I just thought I would talk about, a lot of people talked about Halloween, Samhain, and a few other things in those articles or whatever was speaking to them. Sometimes we try and set a theme so there's a little bit of consistency, or if we just need a topic to come up with. And my topic was the last quarter. We're going into the last business quarter if you operate your writing business on a January through December timeline. So we're going into the last quarter, and there's a few things. October and November and December tend to be very busy months for me, both personally and professionally. So let's talk about some of that stuff. So personally, my birthday is in the month of October. It's October 26th. My sister is coming in at the end of the month. My husband's taking a trip to Africa. And so I've got a lot of stuff going on. So my husband leaves on the 18th. He'll be gone over my birthday. Totally fine. That way my sister and I can do whatever we want anyway. So she comes in the 21st, I believe. She'll be here for about a week. I think she's going to head back on like the 30th, the 29th or the 30th, because she wants to be home for Halloween. So we've got that going on. We've got Halloween, if that's a big event for you. It is not so much for me because we live in the country. So since our children are grown up and moved away, nobody comes out to trick or treat really anymore. So, although if you do, I do pass out full-size candy bars at my bonfire. So there you go. That's kind of the personal stuff I've got going on. Writing wise, K Max is going to be making an appearance. That is my new writing pseudonym, writing paranormal and or cozy mysteries. I have both the short stories that I've written under that pseudonym have been paranormal related. And K Max will be making her appearance October 15th in the Bisman Writer Guild's Legends of Small Town, North Dakota. So we created a fictional small town in North Dakota, named it Small Town, and after the founder, John Small. And we wrote stories where a lot of characters are interconnected and stuff like that. And mine is called Lost Little Soul. And that's about a boy that goes missing and the detective who has to go looking for him. So that's my story in there. So I'll probably be putting out some promo stuff, so you'll be able to read more about that later. So that's one thing writing wise. I'm currently formatting a project for Morehead Friends Writing Group. And then Writers and Garden is working on some stuff for November for writing, because I know a lot of people have left the nano community due to last year's predatory claims and then also the AI statement that they put out. And so a lot of people are disenfranchised with them at the moment. So there are a lot of stuff. So my article in the Writers and Garden newsletter in November will talk about where you can find community if you've decided to leave Nano. So that's kind of everything I've got going on writing wise. And so now let's get on to the topic. So the thing that I was talking about was the last quarter. And I kind of grouped these next 3 months together in like terms of how do I want to finish out the year. Some goals I have is I do want to get the second my second Regency book done before the end of the year so that I can basically publish it February. So that's like a year from when I did the first one. I don't know. I think I'll be successful. I don't know if I'll be able in finishing it. I don't know if I'll be successful in publishing it because I still have to hire the editor. And I'm not sure if my old editor is still taking clients or if she's decided not to edit anymore. And then I need to hire the cover artist, which I don't think that'll be as big of a deal. But I usually do those at the same time. I hire the editor and I hire the cover artist because I already know what my characters are going to look like. I know what I want for the cover art. And I know now that it's a series that will want to stay with some continuity. So the title of the book is going to be How to Love a Lord. The first one was How to Marry a Major. And so I got that alliteration in there that I really like. Not sure if other people do, but I like it. So I've got that going on. As you can tell, I was recently on retreat with the founders group, which is part of the Writers and Garden founders group. And I was on vacation with them at the end and I picked up a cold somewhere. So I'm guessing in transit on the way back. I had to guess it was at one of the airports or in the airplane or something. So because no one was sick while we were there, unless we all caught it on one of our outside retreats. I'm not sure, but our outside outings, that's maybe a better way to say that since I was at a retreat. So there's that. And so I've got this cold and I've got a number of like appearances that I'm supposed to do and stuff. So we'll see how I'm feeling. I've kind of going between hot and cold today. So I don't know if that's a sign that I'm getting better or if the fever's breaking or what's going on. But yeah, I've had this throat thing for a couple of days. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to pass it around to other people. It might just be last time I was this sick or sickish like this was in the spring, and it turned out all it was allergies. It wasn't even a cold or anything like that. It was just all sinus related. So, which this could be because my sinuses have been not great, so it could be that as well. So, plus it seems like I inevitably get a cold around my birthday. So in a lot of ways, I'm happier it's happening now rather than the end of the month. Because my aunt will host something called Farm Day in October, and I'll go there. And I don't know how, I can't even name the number of years that I've been sick and laid on the sofa while everybody else was doing whatever they were doing. So I'm like, this might be good that I'm getting whatever this is earlier. So it may just be allergy related. Because yeah, I could have swore like in the spring I had a similar thing where I had a scratchy throat, and it's like a scratchy throat. It's not really like I'll cough because it's irritated, but it's not really whatever. Plus, I tend to have hot flashes anyway, so I don't know if we can go by the, whatever. So, but yeah, I remember I went in the spring, no COVID, no cold. They're like, yeah, no, you have allergies because my ears were like, I couldn't get my ears to pop, and apparently my eustachian tube or something there had like swollen up so bad they just couldn't release the air or whatever, and it was literally. And she's like, yeah, that looks like allergies. So I was like, okay, so maybe it's just allergies, which I never had until I moved out to the country, but that's okay. I found my daughter's a biochemical engineer, and she'd done I don't know if she did a paper or she was just reading on it, but it turns out like stuff that you're exposed to as a kid, you don't necessarily like if you have pets, like if you have dogs and cats and, you eat a lot of dirt, I guess, I don't know. If you're exposed to that as a child, that you don't necessarily have those allergies because you've been built up like an immunity or a tolerance or whatever. And so I thought that was interesting because like both my daughters, when we moved out here and me, we never had like hay fever. Like I didn't even think allergies were a thing, but we lived in a more of a, I won't say urban because Fargo is really not urban. It's probably more like small town, suburban maybe, because I think urban areas have different, um, would have a different allergy than like a suburban small town area, So, because maybe you live like in an actual city, so there's like smog or, types of pollution that don't exist here in the country. Well, like hay fever doesn't exist in a town, partially because you don't harvest hay in the middle of a city. So yeah, we used to get like when they would do the beans and stuff, we would just get snifflies, it was like, okay, apparently allergies are a thing. So, but anyway, yeah, had no tolerance for hay fever. Anyway, moving on. So I went recently on a writing retreat. Most of my writing, I'm going to take like the next 3 months and probably do novel writing, work on finishing this novel. I'll probably use the bulk of November, part of October, and hopefully by December, I'm either contacting editors, the editor or the cover artist, and saying, okay, I'm ready to do the book too. And hopefully that'll go well. But yeah, I really want to get moving on these projects because it has just been, the summer never goes well. I mean, it'll go okay for writing, but I'm usually working on shorter projects. Like I did 2 short stories over the summer. Well, one was in the spring and one was in the summer. Rather than do like novelettes, or even a novella or novels, because I just don't have the bandwidth. Although I could finish up a novelette for the next book. And it's been sitting in there forever. The next book in the Brave the Elements series, Wind Resistant. So, which if you've seen Fireproof, Wind Resistant is pretty much done, except for I'm like got the big fight scene at the end and a couple love scenes, and then that's done. And I could turn it over to book boutiques and just have them package it and put it out in the world. So, which I want to do all those and then I'll package them as a book. But I would say writing things. So hopefully I'll get the novels done. K Max is making an appearance in October. This is what happens when I don't write note cards. I just totally go off script. Anyway, so those 2 things. Also, I want to get some reading in. I got a few authors who have my favorite authors that have books coming out that I'd like to read. And then, which it's still reading season, right? Cozy, whatever. Although we are having extremely weird weather here in North Dakota. Shoot, I'm going to cough or sneeze here. Hold on. I brought up cough drops just for this, though. Yeah, we are having very weird weather. Like it's going to be supposed to be 73 or 72, but it was like 37 overnight. Very strange weather. Anyway, so right now I was doing K Max, going to try and finish up this novel. Also, I just did a read through on Dealing with the Dead, which I packaged as a trilogy in hopes that I would be able to basically sell it at a lot of these markets and stuff that I do through Moorhead Friends Writing Group. So one of the things that I had done was I packaged up the story, and I kind of messed up with the timing on when I released it. So I ended up putting out a less than stellar copy in the print world. So I know I sold those cheaper. And now I'll be coming out with the next one. And I think they'll be out at like $14.99 in the bookstore on Amazon. And those are only on Amazon and Ingram, I think. And maybe Barnes and Noble. I might have put it up on Barnes and Noble too, because yeah, but the publisher owns the digital rights, so I could only do the physical book anyway. So I've got those. And I think I marketed them with like a post-apocalyptic kind of cover with just a woman walking in it, because I didn't want them to be super sexy, although they are like 18 plus. And I was rereading them and I was telling my husband, there's a lot of sex in these. I mean, it's probably more than there needs to be. And maybe not. I mean, it was kind of where the genre was at the time when I was writing erotic romance, and my stuff is still pretty tame by what that standard is now. There's just a lot of it. And so I probably wouldn't want those sold to somebody who wasn't at least 18, just because of the graphic details in there. So, and by graphic detail, I just mean detailed, really, the detail in there. So those are some of the things that I've got coming up. In November, I'm going to be going to Author Nation. So if you're going to Author Nation, why don't you go ahead and give me a little message down there. I'd love to meet with you. We could have some coffee or lunch or something and talk books and writing and all those good things. I'm very excited because 2 people that I follow, Sarah Cannon and Joanna Penn, are both going to be there. And so I quite enjoy listening to their podcasts. So I'm looking forward to that. I told my friend Amanda she's going to RAM the same time that I'm going to Author Nation. They're kind of, she's going to the virtual RAM, and it's running the same time. So we were both talking about, how we planned on leveling up and really just going into these and learning as much as we could because she hasn't published for a little bit. I haven't published. I don't publish frequently enough, and it's been like a year since my last, like just this year since my last one, and God knows how long before that, maybe 2 years before that, that I'm publishing inconsistently enough that I sort of need to keep up on market trends, like if things are changing, if things are moving. And to give you an idea of how slow I do, I mean, I probably average a book a year, and those are not a story a year would be more accurate. Although I've done a lot of short stories lately, which have kind of put me to the 3 mark, which has always been now my goal is like 3 to 4 stories a year, whether those are um, novels, short stories, whatever. If I can just get out 3 to 4, that's pretty good, I think. So, and really, in all realness, it should be a novel, novelette, or novella, and then a shorts and 2 short stories, and that would be enough to kind of maintain my career. Goodness, so coffee. Anyway, so that's kind of what I've been working on. And like I said, I kind of wrapped these last 3 months into a bundle because you've got so many holidays coming up as well. So even though a lot of people will write a novel in the month of November, I've never achieved that like start to finish. I've either gone with something that really needs to get done and I'll work on that, or I've gone and um will either finish something or I start something and I don't even get near the end. So I've never done an actual nano beginning to end. Uh, then you've got December with the holidays right around the corner, and I've always taken time. Like this month, one of the things that I said in my article is my sister's coming at the end of the month, and I put on everything on hold when I have family in town or I'm seeing family because they're more important to me. My mom and my dad are both deceased. And so it's just my sister and I, at least on that side of the family. And I have aunts and uncles and stuff, but they're getting up there in age too. And we don't always celebrate holidays with them because they're pretty big families. So not as big as my daughter. My daughter married into a family where her husband has like 20 cousins on one side and like 30 on the other or something. I'm like, holy cow, it's a lot of kids. So my family's not as big as that, but they can rival that, but we don't always get together for the holidays. So Thanksgiving, it's always just been my husband and I. My sister comes in around Halloween, but she usually leaves beforehand because she really loves Halloween. So she likes to do her own thing. And then Christmas, sometimes we'll go, like for Thanksgiving, sometimes we'll go visit my husband's family because that's always been a thing when we were little. Um, for for Thanksgiving, or when my girls were little, when we were younger. That's probably the way I meant to say that. We would go visit his family on Thanksgiving and Easter just because my family lived in town, and so we'd see them Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And my parents divided up the holidays of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day between their two families. So we weren't even seeing the same people. But um, what we would do is we would go there because it was like if there was a chance of bad weather or whatever, you weren't traveling in it. Although I've traveled in blizzards on Halloween, Thanksgiving, Easter. I mean, so it's not like it's impossible, but it seems a little less likely than, say, Christmas Eve. We've had, since we moved out here in the country, 2 years in a row, we've had Christmas Eve storms and New Year's Eve storms, and really bad ones like don't go outside because you can't see, like here. You can't even see that. So I've kind of always taken like these next 3 months, I kind of compile them together and see what I can get done in a month versus saying, what can I do in the month of October? What can I do in the month of November and December? The other reason I do that is this, because I inevitably will come up with a cold during the last quarter. It's like spring quarter, like the cusp of like the between the first and the second, I'll get a cold, and then or whatever this is, allergies apparently. So I'll go ahead and like combine stuff because between the holidays, possibly getting sick, bad weather, um, that changes a lot too. And although it never changed when I was working too, I would always kind of slow down in this writing portion because 40 hours of my week were totally dedicated to, working. And then you got like another 40 that were dedicated, should have been more, to sleep. So yeah, so I just try and kind of take it easy and say, what have I got on the board that I can finish up? And I think I can finish up this novel and maybe a novelette, and then I'll have had 4 stories done for the year, which is good. Not perfect, but good. I'll take it. So, but like I said, I don't think I'll publish the next book until February, just because I won't be able to. Maybe I will. Maybe the editor will be able to get me in, but I got to get the book done first. So, and I kind of like to give her a much cleaner. I don't want to say I gave her a clean copy, or a dirty copy, but I gave her it to her as edited as it was. She gave it back, let me know what the flaws were, and then I ended up rewriting. Like, I threw a bunch of stuff out. I'm sure if you go back and watch my old videos about How to Marry a Major, I had this whole spy element in there that I took out, and that was a lot of words. And this time I'm doing the same thing because the Lord was kind of like a surprise Lord, and even to him. And then I was like, I don't know if that works. And so I was talking to my critique group, Word Weavers, and I said, I'm thinking of having him know, under what scenario would he know he was always going to be the heir, but they hid it from the rest of the world, right? And so we kind of went through that. It's not a large part of it, but it might make it might increase the tension between him and the heroine. Because she didn't know he was a lord when she first met him and fell in love with him. And actually, she didn't care. She would prefer he wasn't. But it might up the stakes a little and make it less confusing for the reader, because there's a lot of stuff around entailment and stuff like that that just gets messy. And so I want to avoid that, because I had a lot of that with the Major too. How to Marry Major, there's a lot of stuff around entailment that I got it right and it worked, but it was very subtle in how that was all perceived. So, and he ended up being kind of a surprise heir as well. So, but you got to do that carefully. So otherwise you'll lose readers in the Regency period. I was just watching a thing too, because I've been wondering if I made the right choice on the cover. I think I did, because I was just watching a thing on the cartoonification of covers, and how people are really upset that, I think it works for rom-com, but a lot of people are picking up and buying these new adult books that have like a rom-com cover, cartoon cover on them, and purchasing them for young adults. And so I was like, holy crap. And so I'm wondering if there's going to be at some point a backlash against those kinds of covers. And I thought about doing one of those for How to Marry a Major, because they were becoming popular. And I do have a comedic style of writing. And I wanted to see, well, do I want to go ahead and have that kind of a cover, because maybe the clincher is out, right? I don't have like boobs or anything. They look like they're kind of dancing in the woods or whatever. I think I do have one here. I got a lamp sitting here for lighting. So I'm like, can I pull this out with that Jenga? There we go. Oh, it didn't even move the light really. But this is the cover, right? So it's got kind of this clinch cover, but see, nobody's got their top off, or there's not half naked dude or whatever. But I kind of wanted this cover versus a cartoon cover, even though there's some comedy elements in it, because like if I could say it was a romantic comedy, I would have maybe put that on there. But the thing is there are sexy times in here, and so I did not want to mislead people about what it was, like, I didn't want somebody to read it. I have read, I don't think it's super sexy. It's kind of sexy, but I think you could probably give it to a teenager, maybe, because I want to say that it's very purpley prose. I didn't think the sexy times were that sexy, and I listened to a few of them on audio tape, and I wasn't whatever. And I can't think of the name of the book series now, but they have cartoony covers, and yeah. So, but yeah, I think it works if you have a sweet, funny romance. But I guess I'm kind of like, well, if you have If you have any sex, you should maybe allude to that somewhere, either on the back blurb or somewhere. As a matter of fact, I kind of allude to it, even though it's a misnomer. Yeah, Charlotte again, a woman he never thought he'd see again after sharing a night together. And that sort of implies that they didn't. And the first night they just slept together. And not sexy, actual sleeping. And so, but I did that kind of on purpose too, so that the reader would sort of know going in that yes, later. And I still didn't think it was that spicy. And then I got a review that it was from Coffee Time Romance, said that it was spicy. And I was like, it is? Like, okay. So, because I've like, it's not Golden Angel spicy, but it's like, it's spicy, I guess, apparently. So I was kind of sort of wondering, well, what's the market writing? Because I think it's kind of on par with a lot of the authors that I read, like Tessa Dare and Grace Calloway, who they have very sexy books and also similar covers. That was another thing, is I was like, I went with that kind of marketing style because both of them still use this. Although I think Tessa Dare's had whatever her publisher decides. Grace Calloway is more of this. They are two of my favorite authors too, but she is more of this. And I think I was trying to evoke that. Yes, there's going to be sexy times, but also, so, but yeah, I was thinking about changing it. And then I watched this YouTube video about it. And apparently there's not a super great backlash, but apparently a lot of parents, mothers have bought stuff for their daughters, and a lot more in that rom-com space than anywhere else. And we're like unaware that it was not a kid's book, unaware that it was not like the sports romances would be a good example. Like you have adult sports romances, and I guess some mom bought one for her kid thinking it was like a high school romance hockey star thing. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so let's see, moving on. Yeah, so basically I am just trying to get some stuff done and wrap it all up for the last quarter. So I think that's all I got for you guys. The next November lunch is going to be, oh, I just had a bunch of people pop in. That's crazy. I bet why, because they just realized that I was live. So, but anyway, so that's kind of what I've got wrapping up for the next quarter, the last quarter. So I'm going to get through Halloween and Thanksgiving, and I've got maybe one, hopefully this novel will get done before the end of the year. And then also this novelette that I've got for the Brave the Elements series. I can wrap that up too. So those are kind of my two goals to wrap up before the end of the year. Plus, just got back from retreat, which was wonderful, even though I caught this cold or this allergies. I don't even know what this is. So hence the kind of voice, whatever. I bet by November I have a like super scratchy voice, but we'll see. And then, yeah, if you guys want, I'll put the link below for the Writers and Garden newsletter. And I put an article in there every month, and then I will talk about it a couple days later on this channel. So in the case of next month, though, that'll be like the day of the article will release, and I'll do the YouTube channel be the same time. So, but next month, the First Friday lunch will be, oh, can I get that up? Oh, you know why? Because I didn't save it. I changed the date and then I didn't save it. Next Friday, the First Friday lunch will be November 1st at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.